All right, can we get started?
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Olivier, can we get started?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the What's New in TrueSight Network for Automation. Today we're joined by our product manager, Mita, and Sumit, technical marketing manager, to learn more about the new features and functions of the solution. We will cover things like support for Multi-Nat, Sd-Wan support for Viptela, and much more. You will be put on mute during the presentation. Afterwards, there is time for questions and answers. We will also publish a recording of the presentation on communities and make it available afterwards. Mita?
Thank you, Oliver. That was great. I think the agenda is, as rightly said, there were lots of exciting feature which was delivered as part of the 200201, which is our latest and greatest release. Let's see what is the value which these features are going to bring. So the first one is custom action editor. So if you're looking for reducing some of the time which you're spending in creating lots and lots of custom action in your environment, this is the feature which you should be looking for, where the user interface is provided for creating the custom action. The next is multi-server administration content sync for rule sets and dynamic fields. So if you have more Dsna server in your environment, let's say production and testing environment, the multi-server administration is the one which you should be using for content sync. So more and more, the objective is to make sure that the critical content which users are using is being available for syncing using multi-server administration. The next is device support. So as the latest and greatest devices are available in the market, the objective is to make sure that the device, that the TSNA supports all these devices which are available. So a couple of devices which were either enhanced or new device support was added for those devices. The next one is Multi-Nat Addresses. This is primarily used when you have more than one TSNA site, and one of them is used as primary while other one is used as secondary. And if the connection of your device is behind a firewall when you are using a NAT address, this is the capability which you would be using. And we'll look at some of the other enhancements which were added, like SAML 2.0 support and REST API support. All right, moving on. So we'll go through the features one by one, and then at the end of this presentation, we'll go through the demo where Sumit is going to show us how some of these features are going to be used, like how do you really create a custom action, and how fast is it compared to the older way of doing it using the XMLs. So here is the problem which I used to have. So I wanted to create a lot of custom actions as a user. But I do not have a lot of XML expertise in my environment. So how do I do that? Can I use just the user interface for creating these custom actions? And if there's an error, the custom action is not going to be saved. So I would be knowing then and there that my custom action is appropriate or not. Also, there are so many custom action which comes out of the box. If I have to make just a minor change to that custom action to meet my needs, can I make it editable? Or do I have to export the entire XML, make this respective change and import it to the system? So the answer now is yes. Now you can do it. The custom actions are usually used when you want to execute some custom command to the device, like display the MAC address, show server, add new server to the pool. So these are the two custom actions which has been mentioned, which user would be using for creating a custom action, but there could be many. I think one of the custom action demo which Sumit is going to show is add licenses to the FI devices. So you can use custom action for executing any commands which you would really like to execute and get the output from the devices as well. The next one is multi-server administration. Like I said, the multi-server administration is a tool which is used when you have more than one TSNA environment in your TSNA system in your environment. It could be the case when you have many devices to be managed, or it would be the case in which you would like to have dedicated environment for a particular region while you would like to have a shared environment across rest of the regions. Like for example, if you would like to have a dedicated environment for Australia, while for rest of the regions, say say America and UK, you would like to have a shared TSN environment. So in that case, you will have more than one TSN environment, and the regular case in which you use a QA box, QA TSN environment for creating the content, and you use a production environment for actually using for the end users. So in those cases, you will be using multi-server administration and making sure that the content is synced across all the sites this tool can be used. There is no additional license cost for multi-server administration. So if you are eligible for using TrueSight network automation, you can use multi-server administration as well. The next one is the new device support, and the most important one which was added recently is the Sd-Wan devices, which is Cisco Viptela. So how do we do that is, this is the architecture of Viptela, where we have vBond, vSmart, vManage devices for managing these devices. You can, like any other device in your environment, now you can configure the backup, make the changes to the devices. So all those use cases are going to be supported for the Sd-Wan devices as well. What is the advantage of using TSNA for managing SD-WAN is the single pane of glass. Like any other network device in your environment, you would like to have the configuration backup of the SD-WAN devices as well, and you would use TSNA for that. And along with that, if you would like to have an inventory management, like how many VH devices do I have, how many vBonds do I have, the inventory management use case, you would like to have it. You would like to have SD-WAN devices managed by TSNA. Also, like the discovery integration use case, you can also still use TSNA for integrating with discovery and fetching the latest SD-WAN devices or the latest deployed VH devices into your environment. Along with that, the new devices which were added were 40 Analyzer, 40 Manager, and Cisco ICE. Some of them were also the community's ideas, so thank you for logging those ideas, and I'm glad that we could make some progress on those ideas and could deliver as part of this release. Arista is a device which was already supported. Additional actions like deploy to active and deploy to stored operations are the ones which are supported as part of this 2002-01 release. The next one is multiple NAT address. So like I mentioned, the NAT address is necessary when you are using a router or a firewall between the device agent or the file server and the device. So this is being used when you have when you're using TSN in an HA mode. When the secondary server goes down, the primary comes up, or the primary goes down, the secondary system comes up. So now you can have two NAT addresses to be specified, and you can switch between the two, which one to be used. Some of the other announcements which was done was the most important and asked by a couple of users were the SAML 2.0 support. That has been added as part of this release. One of the important asks which was done in the past is about support for REST APIs. A tool which is an automation tool needs to be automatable by itself. So now any task which you can do from the user interface, you can call an API for doing something similar. And how does that help is if you would like to execute any TSNA action from, let's say, TrueSight Orchestration or any other orchestration tool which you might be using, or if you would like to take any action from the digital workplace like DWP, any tool which can call an API for executing an operation can call TSNA for executing that operation. Let's say for an event generated, you would like to run particular compliance check in your environment, or you would like to revert the configuration change if there's anything event which is generated on the monitoring front. So all those workflows are now feasible because it is 100% API. It is again another step in the world of Dev NetOps or NetOps, which is one of the leading buzzword in the network domain right now. The next one is any job or predefined job or a policy, you would be able to deploy the OS image deployment right from the desktop. Because when you don't have access to the system where TSNA is deployed, you need a capability to deploy the OS image right from your desktop. Some of the operators in your environment might not have the admin access to the TSNA, and that's how this feature is going to be useful for them. With this, I'll hand it over to Sumit for the demo.
Thank you, Meeta. So just a slight bit of correction. The demo which I'm showing for custom action is for updating SSL certificates or creating new certificates and deploying them. So not the license aspect of it. Sorry, Nita.
No worries.
Yeah. So sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So as you can see, I'm logging into an F5 load balancer. Now this is an old load balancer, but this is only a sample of what custom actions can do and how easy it is to develop this custom action which is there. So I'm just going to log into the F5 load balancer and go into the certificates. All right. Okay. And just go down to the SSL certificates and make sure that I have only 2 certificates right here in this in this environment. And this is just a sample. I mean, you might have your own load balancers with different versions and everything, but this is just a sample of what can be done from this. So giving you an example on what a custom action looks like. So this is what a custom action looks like. And, it's an XML based. You have to create a file. You have to make sure of the GUIDs. You have to make sure that, it is connected to the right device type. You have to make sure that the commands are right. So all these things, you have to do it manually before this UI was created. So this was one of the main pain points for our customers is that, this is a nice functionality, but you have to create all this XML stuff. So we've created a UI, which is in the device adapter section, wherein you can add and say custom action. So this has pretty much all the functionality that is there in the XML format, and you can add things and remove things from there. So all the basic things that you need are already there in the system, and it is going to tell you what things are required and what are optional. So all these things are within this UI. So I'm calling this as an F5 import certificate. Whether I want it browser executable, any of the tags that I want to enable, disable, I can do that, whether it's approvable or not. If I want to capture some properties, I can do that as well. Populate some dynamic fields into some runtime parameters, I can do that. Or I can just say, add in some file name or something. So for the certificate, I need to add a file name that, what is the name of the file and what type of property it is. It is a text property, the default value and all those things I can add. And if there is an error message, what should be shown? So I can add these things, but for the sake of speed, I'll just leave this. And I'll make this as a required value so that it's required when we try to run the custom action. So no one can send an empty file name into the system. Okay. And if you want to preview, you can click on preview and you would see the details of what XML has been written here, which you can copy as well. So it's not that it's only this, but you can do additional things with it. And to make it much more simpler, we can, no need to copy, no need to identify what GUIDs are there. You can simply go into the system, connect to the device and see which type of device it is and just say it'll automatically convert the GUIDs into the system. You've got all the supplementary elements like, general information, minimum OS version, retry, tunnel mode support, syntax errors. So if you want to do error handling and everything, you can do it from here. We also have the finally block that, what happens when it disconnects and what all other things you need to do. So you've got other things that you can add into it as an additional step if you want to add before after the custom action is run and before it actually disconnects from the device. So whether the custom action is success or failure doesn't matter. You may still want to run the finally block, because sometimes you may want to commit half the change, or sometimes you may want to do a rollback. So you may want to run that finally block for certain devices to make sure that, the device is stable. So with this, I'll just quickly make a custom action. So most of the custom actions, you've got different elements as assert, assign, comment, condition, interaction, loop, sleep, unassign. So all these things are different things that you can do with the system. But most of the time, people only use the interaction. So in this case, I'm going to show you quickly how to generate the interaction kind of a behavior. And once we create that, we will be able to finish the custom action very soon. So this is how the interaction looks like. You need to say, if you want a prompt is optional. You can run the command and what it does. So my first step here is for an F5 load balancer, the first step, because I'm running TMSH, I need to transfer the files, but I'm running a TMSH prompt. So I have to quit that particular prompt and go to a different prompt. After going to a different prompt, I have to, and you can also have all these different attributes like disconnect after a certain period of time, timeouts, response read, and all these things you can add into the system. So it's not, it has the options. It's just what you want to use and how easily it is, you can build it. So I've quit into the Linux prompt, and I am going to a particular folder. This is the folder where all the certificates are stored on my load balancer. So I'm going to put in the folder information, add another interaction. I'm just adding a prompt, but prompt is optional as well. So if you don't need it, it's not required. In my case, I also want to list all the certificates that are there. So before publishing anything, I just want to list the certificates. Add another interaction. Now, I want to do an FTP, which just means I want to get the certificate from an FTP server. Now, this can be the same server that you have in Dsna, in which case you can use some of the variables that are there, or you can define your own FTP server with runtime parameters, or you can hardcode the value. So it really depends on, what you want to do with it. I'm just adding it for making it easier for everyone. You can hard code it. You can put in values from, other parameters. You can do a runtime parameter as you want. You can do with it. And then once it goes into the FTP mode, it's going to change the prompt into a colon rather than a hash. And then it's going to ask you for what is the username. So again, this is the same thing. You can hard code it, or you want to add into the system whatever you want to do with it. And then the next thing is your password. Now you can say that this is an attribute contains sensitive data. So it can hide the sensitive data as you need it. So you can say that, this is a sensitive data or this is a sensitive phrase, then this won't come up in the system. So now that I've FTP'd into the system, I need to, I need to get the file. So the prompt of FTP is greater than, and the file name, because we are actually using what we call a runtime parameter. So this is how you would translate it into a runtime parameter. All you have to do is runtime file name. So the file name that you input when you go into the system, that's what you need to input here. I have to add another interaction. Now that, we're getting the file, we have to exit the FTP prompt. So by. Once I go back to the FTP prompt, I just want to see what certificates are there. So I want to make sure that the certificate is there in the system. So I'm going to run another ls to make sure that the certificate is there. And then add another interaction. This one is to go back to the TMSH prompt because I quit the TMSH prompt. I need to go back to it so that network automation understands which prompt it is and then carries forward by taking a snapshot of the device. So let's make sure that, we did the proper declaration. We can put it in the F5 load balancing provisioning. We can classify it as a deployment or a snapshot, what type of classification it is. This is used for reports as well. If you want to add any more things, we can do that or simply preview it. And all the XMLs have then now been converted into the system. So we used a greater than sign and then it converted it into a proper message because sometimes what happens that, on the browser, it doesn't show properly. So we've taken care of that and, converted it automatically into an and GT question mark so that it displays on the system properly. You can also copy it to the clipboard and take it into a text file and modify it. So we haven't removed the functionality of importing custom action. It's just that we've, added the feature of a UI into it. And not only that, this is a custom action I built from scratch, but you can actually go to an existing custom action and also edit it. So it's not that you can only do it for for the ones that you create from the UI, but you can also go into an existing custom action and modify the information here, add more runtime parameters, and also modify the implementation. So this is only for iOS, iOS and iOS XR. But if you want to add more device types to it, you can add it as well. So it is not limited to what is already there. You can extend what you already have. It'll get converted into the UI and add to it as well. So this is more of an addition into the system. And the way we are going to run this custom action is the same. All we have to do is go to the actions, custom actions. It was the F5 load balancer. We called it just give me 1 second. I think I saved it. Oh, I put it in the wrong location. I put it in VSG. Okay. Actions, jobs, add, custom actions, F5 import cert, select the device. This is a TMSH device that I have. This is the file name that is needed. So we have to make sure that the file name that we use is there. And the file name I have is, just 1 second. I put the file name in another job that I had. Now and when approved. This is the file name. And we click save and submit. So now it's executing the job. We can look at the job details from here, starting to log in. And it'll take a few minutes to finish the job because it has to run through the entire process. First is logging in, then doing a discovery code, and then running the action. But as this action is running, you can see we can go to the F5, and if we refresh this page, you would see the served webinar came in right over here with the common name and the certificate. So it does get deployed from within Dsna. Now, Dsna after this is going to take a snapshot. So it is going to go through the entire process of taking a snapshot, making sure compliance check is done properly, and all the other things that it requires for the F5 device. So depending on the device adapter, it's going to do additional steps, but it was successful in deploying the certificate. And if you want, once this job is done, we can go into the details and have a look at it. But we'll look at the details after we finish our other demo. So this is what I wanted to show you for custom actions. You can see that it's easier to do it from the UI. You can edit your existing custom actions as well. You can modify the out-of-box custom actions. You can add and remove device types also in those custom actions. So making it much more easier for customers to use. Now, having said that, my next demo is on multi-server administrator. Let me see if this is finished. Yeah, it's done. So I can actually show you the job details as well. So we can go to the F5 load balancer and see the details. So I went to the folder and did an ls. You can see that it had 2 certificates. These are the 2 certificates that were there. And then I did an ls again, and you can see the 3rd certificate was added into the system. So this is how the entire interaction ran. And let's get to the next demo for multi-server administrator. So for the multi-server administrator, again, we have added 3 new components to the system. So log into the multi-server administrator. And for me, I have 2 sites, MSA and TSNA. So this is similar to what we already have. We've created 3 new fields into it. One of the fields that we've created is dynamic fields. So we can actually move dynamic fields from one server to the other. You can go to TSNA, and it's exactly the same. So there has not been a lot of difference between what we used to do earlier and what we have right now. So it's the same. The look and feel and everything is the same. I'm copying a field name called a self-heal because my rules require this particular field name. So I can copy this field name from my source site to my destination. And it'll tell you that the status is added. So if I go to my destination, and have a look at my dynamic fields, I can see that the rule has now a field name called as self-heal. Just in case we didn't see this earlier, so I'm just going to delete this. So it's gone. And then try it all over again. So it can do this very quickly because everything is based on REST API, and it'll fill these things. And the same thing can be done for rules and rule sets as well. So you can go to a rule set and say, I want to, copy a particular rule set from one server to the other. So we can filter. Sorry. Oh, I'm on the MSA box. Dsna is my source. I want to do a content push and then push. I have the option of overwriting as well. So if it already exists and you want to overwrite, you can do that as well. And then the same thing with rule set. So the UI remains the same across the board. So all the other options, it's just included within this. You've got additional filters for rules that, you may want to go with only a particular rule set. So you can just narrow it down. So the filters and everything change. Oops. Sorry about that. This is acting up today. Okay, I just get the, oh, MSA. My mistake again. Wrong source site. So we have this rule and I can say content push. So it just takes a minute to jump into the other side and get the rule done. So we can go and check over here what our rule sets are. So our rule set, we copied the edge rule set from the other side. So edge router block list. And as far as the rule is concerned, the block list Cisco rule that we moved. So this can be done within a couple of minutes. You can move it from dev to production. You can also move it from one server to the other. You may have a primary server and you may want to move those. So that is available as well. Now, my next demo is for with Tele Devices. So some of the things that we've added into this is a new device, which is the Viptela device. So I just wanted to show you how it's added into the system. The Viptela device we've added into TSNA, but we've also segregated it. So it's not only the Viptela vManage, but we can also put in the vBond, vSmart. We can have both those types of devices. All of these are cloud-based devices, and then we can add the vEdge. One of the advantages for this one is that you don't have to tell what type of device this is. All you have to tell it that this is a Viptela Sd-Wan device. Network automation will automatically figure out whether this is a vManage, whether this is a vBond or a vSmart. So it will automatically identify the model number and add it to the system. So it will do the device discovery, identify the model number, get the OS image, and get all the details that are there. And also, get the configuration of this particular device. So you can have a look at the configuration that, the running configuration is there, and it can capture that configuration and store it in network automation. So the entire configuration is there with all the rules and names and everything. All you need is the credentials to connect to this device and the IP address or the DNS name. So both these things are available within the system. And the last thing that I need to show you is the REST API support. So one of the things that we've changed over a period of time is the REST APIs. We've been adding more and more REST APIs as we go along. But from this release onwards, we have introduced what we call as version 4.0. So we've already got, different versions of this, and we've reached 4.0. With this version, we've tried to achieve what we call as REST first. So you've got every UI operation that you have within the system. Most of those UI operations have been converted into a REST-based API. So everything that you need to know, everything that needs to be there from within network automation is available through a REST API. So you don't have to, you don't have to create scripts or go through the UI to do anything within the system. And some of the things that we figured that were not there were things like policies. We couldn't handle policies. We couldn't handle device import and export jobs. We couldn't handle configuration export jobs. So all these things have been added. So in version 3, those things were not available, and some of the UI components you could only do it from the UI, but now you can do those from the REST APIs as well. So a pretty simple example that I wanted to give you inside this is, first of all, you will need to get a token. So tokens required. And this Swagger UI is built into network automation that you can use. And we can run, get policy information. We can create policies. We can delete policies. So all those things are available. All you have to do is put in the token and get the information. And it is going to give you the URL request as well. It's going to give you what the curl, what the curler saying, and it is going to give you a response body as well. So you can actually use Swagger to build and connect it to your own tools. You can connect it with, Perl, PowerShell scripting. You can also connect it with any of the orchestration solutions that are out there. And it is very easy to use this REST API within the system. And the best way to, start building it is to use the Swagger UI, because the Swagger UI is going to give you the sample of what these things would look like, and it will give you all the parameters and everything that you need. So it is going to be much more useful and helpful, and you won't have to worry about all the other things. And it'll just give you the list, and then you can use these URLs into your, whatever solution you prefer to add it to. So the other one was, device import tasks. Now these device import tasks may be, trying to identify that I have got discovery and I want to see, how many devices were synced and, when the last job run was done. So it will give you the execution stamp, the job run. And then if you want, you can create another device import task, or rerun a device import task, or change the schedule of a device import task. So all those things can be done from within the API layer itself. And the same thing you can do it for the configuration export tasks as well, where you can export a configuration to a folder and on network automation, and then from there you can retrieve the files that you need. Now, some customers use it for connecting it to other solutions where they want to crunch the configuration for some reason, maybe to check something, or maybe to run some other things with the help of a Perl script or something. And this makes it much more easier to do that. So this is all I have for the demo. And I will stop sharing, and if there are any questions or anything, we can get answered.
Hi, Samit. Thank you for this. Thank you for the demo. There are some questions in the chat window. I'll suggest we first go over them. Sure. There is a question like, can you also create a custom trail to use with a custom action? I'm not sure what that applies to. Whoever asked the question can unmute himself and can actually explain it maybe somewhat more better than I do.
No, I do understand this thing. Meeta, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Yeah.
For now, no, but yeah, that's something. So the way it has been developed is custom action, custom trail would be the next, and then ultimately the device type.
Yeah. So we want to make this, we want to expand the solution to the next level. We started with custom actions because it was an ask from customers that they use custom actions and it becomes harder to manage the XMLs. So that's why we added this particular UI to make it easier. Our future thought process is to expand it to the other things. We're going to add custom trails to it. We're also going to add device adapters to it. So you can create your own device adapters as quickly as possible and not have to wait for us to give you the device adapter. So that reduces the time on, adding devices to network automation and making it easier.
Okay. Thank you, Sumit. Another one is there a way to define the terminal type in the custom actions?
Yeah, let's continue. For example, the demo for the certificate import terminal uses color in the output. If we can specify a terminal type in the custom action that uses monotype terminal, the color codes would not be present.
That is something we might need to look into because the terminal type, I think, is defined in the device adapter. So if the device adapter already has a terminal type and is defined in the system, the custom action is going to take the properties of the device adapter itself. So we'll have to look at it from a different perspective and look it into the device adapter, not the custom action itself, because most of the properties like login, discovery, and other things, those properties are in the device adapter, not in the custom action. So no, I don't think custom action would be able to handle that, but those terminal types may be in the device adapter section, and which is still an XML at the moment. How many newly added API commands will be added to the Dsna module in TrueSight orchestration and when? So, great. It's now completely open. The TrueSight orchestration used an older version because it required SOAP access. So it used an older version of the APIs, which was the SOAP APIs. The new method of communicating with TrueSight orchestration is to directly use the REST APIs. And TrueSight orchestration actually did release the REST adapter recently, which can be used. However, if there are some changes, if there are some specific asks that you need for TrueSight orchestration, do let us know, and we will talk to the orchestration team to develop the content as well. But at this present moment, you can use all these APIs through the REST adapter that is there.
Right.
Maybe a bit harder, but yes, still available to be used from there itself. Yeah, the older one is using SOAP, so we can't extend that adapter because it's using SOAP, and SOAP doesn't have these new APIs.
Yeah, the question was more around the convenience because the TrueSight Network Automation module is provided by BMC, so some of the more common activities are pre-bundled within the module, thereby eliminating the need to build from scratch an activity that may already exist.
Yeah. So for this particular reason, that's why I said you can use the Swagger UI to easily build the API format and what the API and the URLs will look like, and then you can add it to the orchestration solution. One of the things was that it's not only about two-side orchestration, but also about the other things. But yes, we will surely talk with the orchestration team to get that thing as well. We've been talking to them, but it's in the roadmap, so I really don't know what the timelines are for that one. So we'll talk to them again. And do you have any specific asks or anything? And if you can send me an email, that would be great. Then I can put those asks in front of the team so that I can tell them this is what our minimum requirement is and that it's been asked. So, yeah. And I'll just post my email address for that. Or even if you have anyone has additional questions, we can do that. The next question that is there is for reports. Yes, the APIs have pretty much all the reports that needs to be there. As I said, we're trying to go REST first. So we're also trying to develop as soon as we came out with this new UI, the new UI was replaced because of security concerns and because of the dated UI that was there, and we wanted to move into a centralized UI that was being built, and we just wanted to build this from scratch. This particular UI has been built from scratch. It has every functionality the old UI has, plus the REST APIs that the new REST APIs that have come. And it also tells us that in the future, whenever we develop a new UI component, we also develop a REST API component with it. So the entire thing, it's a set of enhancements that we are going through. So I hope I did answer all the questions. Any other questions or anything that is there? Or Meeta, if you have anything else to add.
Just wanted to mention that if you have any idea to be implemented, do use communities. If it is like really voted idea, we keep on reviewing them at a regular basis, so that if everybody votes for that will make for the future releases. That would be the ideal way of logging an idea and getting a validation from rest of the users that it is really important.